guys.
Hello.
Welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Irene.
My name is Nana.
And together we are Irene and Nana. So I want to thank you for the positive feedback we got on our last video. The comments, the subscription, the likes and the shares. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
We had a couple of requests from our viewers, and most of them has been about our first year marriage, and we decided to do this video to discuss a couple of things and how it's been. Our first year marriage has been a roller coaster. Actually, there's been a lot that's happened from day one till today, basically, and I think we'd focus for this video more on pregnancy phase, that challenge, because it was probably the one that was the most challenging, and then from there we can talk about the other things in the next.
In our last video, we explained that we got married January 4th of 2019,
yeah.
And we already knew we wanted to have kids like
From
immediately.
inception.
Like, we're not going to wait for 1 year, enjoy each other. I mean, no offense to people that wait, but you know, these things, it's about choices rather.
Mm-hmm.
So it was our choice to start a family immediately. And yeah, we proceeded and we got pregnant. And initially I wanted a girl. I wanted a boy. I wanted a baby.
And I wanted a girl.
He wanted a baby.
Yeah, I wanted a girl
first. And I wanted a baby boy. And honestly, my reason for wanting a baby boy first is because I know, low-key, because my husband is the only son, so I was like, oh, if I have a baby boy first, maybe, you know, there's this thing about the Igbos and boys, so, but I didn't really know that my husband wasn't really, his own was, he wants his daughter first, and he wants his daughter to look like him. So yeah,
she does.
She looks like him, by the way.
Yeah.
So, and then because I wanted a boy, we started praying for twins.
Yeah. Sure.
So that was how it happened, and we were praying. We were like, okay, God, please, because I have twins in my family, not direct. My grandmother had twins, so we're like, okay, since they said it's genetic, okay, I have twins. Can God just bless us with twins, you know? And yes, luckily, it happened. Our first ultrasound experience.
Okay, that was my best moment throughout pregnancy. Initially, when people ask me, what do you think is the best moment? Mm-hmm. Most people expect that I'll say, yeah, giving birth. Yeah, that was a very good moment too. But first scan was my best moment because it felt like what we asked for, what we prayed for, actually came through. Because we didn't expect it. We went there, and the guy running the scan told us.
The lab technician, right?
I don't know his name.
No, not his name. Like,
I don't know what they call them. But the guy came in and told us that he can hear 2 heartbeats, and that was the best moment of that period for me.
I think I cried.
Yeah,
I was so excited. I cried. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. So from that moment, yeah, it was life as usual. You know, obviously they told us that twins or multiples generally is a high risk pregnancy, so that we should try. I mean, she should try as much as possible to relax, not stress herself too much, which to a large extent we did. You know, for the first 3 months, 4 months, 22 weeks, thereabouts, everything was fine. It kept going forward.
Sorry to cut you. Yeah, everything was fine, but was not so fine because we were using one hospital, and while we're going to the hospital, before I got pregnant, I had heard about cervical incompetence. I had a friend, shout out to Oge, she was my friend, my colleague. She told, I remember we used to work together in the same office, and she lost her first pregnancy. It was a very emotional moment for her. Like, I remember how she'd cry through. So I had to ask her, okay, what's this about? So then I hadn't even gotten married. I wasn't even ready to get married. So she had already told, she now said, oh, that cervical incompetency is when your cervix is probably not strong enough to carry the weight of a growing child. So it's either, sometimes the doctors will put a sacklage to hold your cervix together so that as the child grows, the child doesn't fall out of the womb. So basically, this is a layman's, this is my explanation because it's a lot of medical terms, but yeah, this is how I understood it. So I remember the first hospital we were using for our antenatal, like we'll go for checkups, and because of what Oge had gone through, I would literally tell the doctor during the scan, I'll be like, can you check my cervix? And the doctor kept on saying, oh, why are you always checking your cervix? It's not good. You are not supposed to be seeing the child every time you're doing scan, you know. So they had like things they try to discourage me, but somewhere I'm very stubborn.
They prefer just hearing the sound of the
there's this
sonograph.
That sonograph something. They put it and then they hear the heartbeat of the two children and they say, okay, everything is fine. But I wasn't okay with that. So I was like, can you just check? And so it got to I think it was on our 20th week, 20 weeks
20
or 21 weeks, 20 weeks. It was 20 weeks.
Okay.
So we went in for a normal antenatal. We went for all the antenatals together. So we went in for our antenatal and we saw the doctor and we were like, okay, so we're supposed to check us, blah, blah, blah. They check your PCV, they do a urine protein, they check the protein in the urine. Protein levels. We did all that. And I told the doctor, I was like, please, I think you should check my cervix. And he was like, no, that I wasn't going to check it. I was like, no, but I think you should check it. I kept on insisting. So he was like, okay, we should go and wait. When he is done with other patients, that he was going to check me. I told my husband, it's just better we wait. So we waited. After he wasted our time, because really it wasn't, to me, till today, I think it wasn't fair. After I had wasted our time, and then we got in, Nigerians now, he checked my cervix, and the next thing he said was, I think his exact words were, where do you work? I'm like, why? What's happening? He said, do you stress yourself? Hey, Jesus. Immediately he said that, I just knew deep within me that something had gone wrong. So I was like, no, I don't stress myself. Because during my pregnancy,
Then you were not even working.
I was working, but I had a business partner.
It wasn't
a 9 to 5.
Job,
it wasn't a taxing job. So because my business partner had already she was doing everything because she knew I was pregnant, and I think I told her from the beginning that I was having twins. So she understood high risk pregnancy and she was ready to just kick off. Unoma, what's up? So yeah, that's so it was like, oh, do you stress yourself? And I looked at my husband like, no, what's happening? The man kept on beating around the bush and I wasn't having it. I was almost getting angry, but I was like, I mean, you can't get angry at an old man, now everybody has, so
that was not 20 weeks, that was 22 weeks.
No, it was 20 weeks. They gave us to go and stay 1 week bed rest. Have you forgotten?
Bed rest took us 23 weeks, which was when we now got to the
okay. So that was 22 weeks, yes, 22 weeks of pregnancy. Okay, the doctor was acting like, he couldn't see anything. So luckily for me, very observant person. So I used to look at the monitor. I used to say, okay, this is how the womb is, blah, blah, blah. So I had already had a picture of how it has always been from my first week to my 22nd week rather. So, but I knew that there was this V-shaped thing that I hadn't been seeing in the previous scan. So I told the doctor, I said, what's this V-shaped, funnel-like shaped space in my womb? And he said, that's my cervix. And I was like, what's wrong with my cervix? He said, your cervix is opening. You might have to observe bed rest. Okay, just go home, observe bed rest.
No, he said they were going to admit.
They were going to. Okay, yeah. He said, okay.
He said they were going to admit us to the hospital. But then we asked if it's a bed rest, if it's something we can do at home. And he said, well, if we are sure we could observe it properly, then there's no problem.
But the mistake he made, he did not explain bed rest in its totality. Now, I'm a first-time mom. I wouldn't know that bed rest means don't stand up. Only stand up when you want to pee. Don't cook. When you must, as in when it's extremely important. So I came home, I was like, okay, bed rest, okay. I'll just bring my bed to the parlor, lie down, watch TV. I'll not stand up. I'll cook when I want to cook. After all, the kitchen is not far. I want to eat Indomie the way I like it. No, my husband should not make the Indomie. You know, so yeah, I think our bed rest was kind of funny. I stood up a couple of times. I cooked. I remember I cooked, right?
Yeah.
I cooked. I did like, it was just normal, but I was at home. After that, we went back. We did not go back to the hospital. We had registered with two hospitals. So we went to this other hospital, right? So when we go to the other hospital, we told our gynae, our gynae was a woman. So we told her, I explained to her, I said, oh, the last hospital, look at what happened. They gave me bed rest. They said my cervix was opening, but it wasn't too open. It was how many millimeters? There's a measurement for it. I don't remember all that. So it was like, so she was like, oh, your cervix is opening, okay. And she said, go and do another test, another scan, which we went for the first one. She saw it and she rejected the first scan. She now directed us to do a second one for clarity, for her to be sure. So we did a second scan, and when we came back, that was the beginning of everything. Meanwhile, our wedding was supposed to be 4 days or 5 days from that day. We went to the hospital.
4 days from that day.
When we say our wedding, we mean our church wedding, because we had done our traditional wedding. So
yeah, that day was the 23rd.
Baby, you can remember date.
That day was the 23rd. Our wedding was meant to be on the 27th.
Our wedding was meant to be on the
So it was on a Tuesday. Wedding was meant to be on Saturday.
Our wedding was meant to be on Saturday. So the guy looked at us and was like, you're not going anywhere. You can't leave this hospital. And immediately, hey God, I remember. So she know, I think after that, she explained, she was like, your cervix is really opening and you're 23 weeks gone. And we might not be able to put a sacklage because the kids are already, like, it will touch their membrane.
They're too close to the membrane.
Yeah, they're too close, that it will be too close to the membrane, and she doesn't want anything to happen to my twins. So I was like, this was my white wedding was on Saturday. Some people had already traveled down. I remember his friend had already come, was on his way that day to Lagos.
He was
Your best friend, in fact, I was just, God. So we hustled to the bed. In fact, my husband went, paid for everything, and they gave us a private room where we were. And I remember when I got into that room, I started crying. Now, I wasn't crying because my wedding wasn't going to hold. In my head, I knew my wedding was still going to hold. But I was crying because I imagined if I hadn't come to the hospital and I was probably dancing away at the wedding, what if my children had fallen from my womb? Like, I had this gory picture in my head. It was so, I was just crying. I was crying and thanking God at the same time. So it was, in fact, I still thank God till today, because we are Catholics and it was a Catholic hospital.
Yeah.
We just moved our file from the hospital, the church, the parish we were supposed to wed, told the parish priest, and he came and wedded us at the hospital. I did my wedding on a wheelchair, you guys. It was like, I think it was the best wedding ever, because till today, like, I still thank God for the day, for the way it went. We did our wedding, but we had to cancel all the invites, and I couldn't wear my wedding gown. And bear in mind, we had paid for food, we had paid the decor, we had paid for everything, but God didn't want it that way.
Sure.
God knows best. And we did our wedding with just family, my parents-in-law, one of my uncles, and my husband's best friend,
and our sponsor,
and our wedding sponsor. So we did it on a wheelchair in the church. I was wheeled to the church, and it was a beautiful experience. It was, now that I'm talking about it, it was sweet. So yeah, after the wedding, you moved into.
I had to come back home, get a few things for my wife, get some things for myself, and then luckily the private room was actually comfortable, quite comfortable.
It was comfortable.
So we had 3 beds there, and she could sleep on one. In fact, the first day her legs were up actually, but after after that day, they said she could lie down normally. So from that day, we're living there together. It helped. It helped so much our bonding, because prior to that time, we've not been married for we're just married for
like few months.
So it helped our bonding go a long way, and also it made me appreciate certain things that normally you don't understand or you wouldn't appreciate. And from then onwards, it was actually smooth.
You come home and you cook. You literally cook for like 3 days. We had a fridge there.
Yeah, had a fridge.
Then your parents would bring food every Saturday.
Yeah.
And we would eat, and we celebrated Easter.
No, not Easter. Easter had already passed.
We did. There was a celebration. Okay, your confirmation.
Okay, then I had my confirmation. So
your confirmation.
I had my confirmation.
So you did your confirmation.
That's church confirmation.
Church confirmation, Catholic confirmation. Yeah.
So, but from then onwards, we quickly settled down into the life we had.
Like
we started
living in the hospital.
Living there, I was going to work from there, coming back there. From time to time, I would go home, wash, do some laundry, come back that same day. I never slept outside the hospital from that day till we're done.
And he was in the hospital with me for 3 months, you guys. 3 months we're in the hospital for 3. It was
all worth it though.
It was worth it. Oh my goodness.
After that time, it was just getting to buy time. In fact, the procedure of bed rest was purely getting to buy time, because if we had found out about the incompetence early enough, we could have had a circulage, which wouldn't have required us being in the hospital for 3 months plus. But because we didn't have that, and obviously the bed rests, we came in there at 23 weeks. What we were told was that we would try and push the pregnancy to 28 weeks. That from 28 weeks, generally in Nigeria, we have the means to deliver preterm and take care of them at that tender age.
Yeah.
But if it's below 28 weeks, the chances are very, very low. 28 weeks, chances are also not so high, but then it's manageable. So the guy called me and told me that we have to pray and try and as much as we can to push till 28 weeks. So that was obviously 5 weeks from the time we came in. So we had a goal of 28 weeks, and it went by not so fast, but then we got there. After when we got to 28 weeks, she said let's push to 30, because the later the better. You understand?
Yeah, we pushed.
So we were there till 30 weeks. At 30, she said let's keep pushing until when we can no more, or until when they have to bring them out. So from 30 weeks we kept going. By the time you were 32 weeks,
I started having Braxton.
High blood pressure.
Yes.
Your blood pressure was high. Also puts a little more stress on us. But that was all just nearing towards the end, because when we hit 33 weeks, I think 33 weeks and a few days, it was on a Friday. I left for work. The guy didn't tell us what was going to happen. She just told us that she would come for a scan that morning. And I left for work that morning, got to the office. At around 9 or so, I got a call from my wife, and she said that she asked me if I was alone. I said yes. She said okay, that I need to come back to the hospital as soon as possible, so that I shouldn't tell nobody. So I left. It was raining cats and dogs. So I left the office, took one way, and went straight to the hospital. There was so much traffic, and I got there, say probably around 12. I was so tense, and she was calm that day. I used to be the calm one, but that day I was tense, and it didn't take a long time after the anesthesia was administered for the babies to come out. So I wasn't allowed there.
Into the theater.
Yes, into the theater, because of the CS. I naturally would have liked to be there if it was a natural delivery, but then for CS they don't allow, because
the hospital, some hospitals allow.
Yeah, but they don't allow.
Our hospital did not allow,
because they felt it can be too gory and people can get nauseous in there. So I was just pacing around. It wasn't quite 10 minutes after the CS started, or 5 minutes. I saw the matron and the nurse came out with 2 children, very tiny children, and they said, "Come and see the babies." So I walked with them.
Pediatrics unit, the NICU.
Yes, it's an ICU actually, but then they were fine. What they just wanted to do was to check their weight and warm them up because the theater was very cold. So after then, they cleaned them up. They brought them to the room, and they started stitching her up. That took about 45 minutes or so for them to be done. And once that was done.
Okay, sorry to cut you short. When we were inside the theater, I don't want us to bypass the fact that a lot of prayers went in throughout that 3 months. It was in the hospital we started saying our midnight prayer, which we continued that culture till today. It was in the hospital we started praying the rosary every day. So that hospital experience really, it just prepared us for something great, it prepared us for life, really, for life together as husband and wife. So it was there. I mean, even when we were in the theater, my BP continued to go up. The doctor, the gynae continued to pray. She prays a lot. Like that woman, God bless her. She used to pray with me. She continued to pray. At a point when she was teaching, my BP had gone very high and she was supposed to pause, but she kept on praying and saying, I remember her saying, this woman will not die on my table, nothing will happen to this woman. While she was praying, the nurses were also like praying with her, while they were also doing what they were doing. I had like about 4 doctors inside that theater. There was a pediatrician, there was the anesthetics doctor, there was the general practitioner, and there was the gynae. I think, there were about 4 doctors and about maybe 4 nurses or so. And the hospital is quite big. They have pediatric nurse, theater nurse. Like they had nurses that had different specialties. So like everybody was also praying. And I came out of that theater, and I remember my husband was so worried. I don't think he had anticipated that this teaching was going to take that long. So I think at a point he was pacing around and was worried what was happening. I
was always pacing around, not because I anticipated this teach would take long, but prior to that moment, we've been through a lot of things in the course of the pregnancy. So I didn't know what to expect. If I knew ahead of time that day was our due date, for example, I would have probably gone and researched or watched YouTube or something to see how the process is, But then I didn't think about it. I thought we still had some time to go, and I was called abruptly. So I felt something was wrong initially when I got there, but obviously nothing was wrong. But at the same time, I wasn't prepared for it. I don't think most people are prepared for it anyway.
I don't even think the gynae was even as prepared, because she walked into the room that morning and said, the Holy Spirit said you have your babies today. So apparently she had been praying. Maybe she didn't want it to happen that day, but for some reason, I don't know, her faith and everything, she decided to have the babies that day. And we had our babies, and I mean, a lot of things happened after we had our babies, of which I think would continue in the next video, because this video is already long enough, and we'll talk about it in our next video. Leave a comment, tell us how you feel about this, if you've ever had high-risk pregnancy or heard about it, if you're pregnant and you're having twins and you need to talk to somebody about it, you can send us an email. We'll leave our email address in the description box. We can talk about it. If you need information about the hospital, we could send that to you and tell you about our doctors and what to look out for. And yes, we'll also talk about our experience as a first-time parent of twins. That's another video again, because it's extremely challenging.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So
and I think also the cervical incompetence is something that people don't talk about often. But it happens a lot. So
I remember researching on this thing. I was searching because I wanted to know, what hospitals do people use, blah blah blah. but I didn't get anything. So, I mean, if there's anything you want to know at all about cervical incompetence, I'm ready to explain. Let me not say I am, because my husband too had like the experience with me. So we're ready to explain to you. Just reach out to us. You can send us a DM on our Instagram page. You can send us an email, whatever it is. If you're pregnant, if you need us to pray with you, whatever it is, just let us know. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye bye.